I'm Anna.
I'm Ben.
We're AutoSave. Welcome to our channel.
Today we're watching Dungeon Meshi Season 1, Episode 6. Are we going to see Kabru and his gang or crew ever again?
Okay, so my only reasoning for feeling like Kabru specifically we would see again is because in the OP, when we have everyone reaching up...
He's a big guy.
He's a big guy. Okay, yes. He's a big guy. He has a part in the opening where he is one of the bigger standing giants within this dungeon. But also with the scene where everyone's reaching, you know, toward each other. He is toward the top by Laios. So that gives me even more main character energy. Like, I think he's gonna be in it again. Mainly because of the fact that he was a giant.
That's fair. I agree. I'm with you. You ready?
Yeah.
Sweet.
The most devastating part of last episode wasn't even the Fallon emotional damage. It was us dumping those gems, thinking that they were just like railing. Bugs we shouldn't eat, and they were real gems.
You're really sympathizing with Marcial.
Yeah.
I mean, Fallon's big.
But also very integral and important to the whole reason and plot of what we're doing. The members that left the group are also big.
I love trying to just, like, read importance of if they're going to come back into the narrative by their physical size in an intro that's just thematic. Ooh. That animation on Chill Truck was crazy a second ago.
Because of the location?
Not enough ingredients.
What's on the 4th floor? I mean, think about what we were thinking about when Fallon got snatched by the Red Dragon. We're about to have a banquet.
The painting. Is that whoa! That's some Scooby-Doo stuff.
What about a monster rat?
What?
I like it. Oh, it sucks you in. Cool.
You'd hope.
Wait, are we actually gonna do that?
It's like Chalk Zone. Mario 64.
This makes me think of like the Narnia books.
Crazy.
Oh my god.
I would love to do this. Interesting.
So it's not like they attack you, it's just that you would die in there? Or be stuck forever? I feel like that shorter character is in the OP.
Delgal.
I'm so scared. I'm scared. Oh, okay. I was like, the chances we all have to go in there for some reason.
The vibe just wasn't right. Do you think it was historically accurate in the painting?
The one character in the OP I don't think is actually in the painting.
More casual. The king again. What? We got a face this time.
That's so cute that it's basically seeing the same family at different stages of their lives.
Is this the history of the castle we're in, though?
Or just one of the residents, you know? The last resident, maybe. A poisoning?
Don't take...
It's possible if you got trapped in there for so long, you would almost feel an affinity toward the people you were living with in those paintings.
Can't take food out of the painting. Eat them while you're in the painting?
What happens if
no.
we save him from the poisoning?
We're at the coronation of the prince. Are becoming interested. Are you eating too soon? Whoa.
Also, what if it's one of those situations where if you eat when you're in that world, you cannot leave? Like the underworld?
Oh my god, there's continuity. Holy shit. After the king's poisoning, this elf has just gotten like crazy paranoid and on edge. No! The food leaves once you come back? Do you think the elf's still alive?
And gotten some real food? Perfect.
Those bastards are fond of.
Just... We don't like mimics. For a lockpick, I'm sure it's frustrating.
Yeah. There's no pattern you can actually trust.
How many times has Chilchuk died to a mimic?
Dude, the animation in this episode is insane.
But he wants to go over there, doesn't he? Secretive.
Birthday parties.
Is he like sitting by it? Okay, no.
Senshi spoiling you.
Mm.
Oh no. Surely it's not actually a mimic. Curiosity.
It's like blocking the door.
Not even curiosity.
Ooh,
Oh,
it dropped a coin.
And it matches the fountain.
Oh, it's a coin bug.
You've come around, Chulchuk. Yes! No!
So he might think the mimic is just a nest of coin bugs.
It's a trap? Give Marcial more credit.
She good with ancient languages?
Or has a spell. Hmm.
What if this whole time it's not actually a mimic, or this whole time he gets to the point where he thinks it's not, but it is?
The animation's so good this episode. Oh, shit! Oh! It's a crab?
It's like a hermit crab!
Oh! Dude, the animation's awesome!
Maybe one of the trivia pieces will help.
Oh!
Ooh.
Coin or coin bug? Coin bug. Interesting.
Oh, so it's telling you what order the buttons to push, because, okay.
Oh!
Let's eat it! We can eat it now!
See? Marcial
Yes.
noticed.
They're so proud. I bet that tastes delicious. Oh, we're sewing up our clothes. Stomach grumble. Q. 1, 2, 3.
Of course. Before adding anything else. I love the antennae sticking out of the pot.
I love how, like, unblinking he is when he's, like, sitting and waiting, especially. Does Senshi blink? I don't know if I... Does he blink? Oh, there we go. Okay.
That looks amazing.
I
It looks
bet
like
it's
snow
really good.
crab. Ooh, good tech. What about crack it in the middle? Pull it out.
Get a little hammer. His special tools?
They're sacred! No.
Yeah.
Is it worth it?
Come on. I bet it's worth it. That tool's perfect shape. Yeah.
でもどうしてミミックのこと黙ってたの？ミミックにはいい思い出がないからな。
Fair.
変わらずに過ごせるならそれに越したことはない。あいつに宝虫を食われると思って焦った。
Treasure
ミミックは
bug.
宝虫を食べないよ。むしろ宝虫がミミックを食べる。
What?
見つけると箱の隙間から卵を産みつけ、この中で帰った幼虫はミミックを食べながら大きくなる。
Whoa.
成虫になる頃には人間が宝と見間違え、その足で新天地へ。
So are most
Wow.
treasure chests then once a mimic?
だって年齢教えてくれないんだもん。仲間に隠し事すると損するって学んだでしょ。
30.
私で29歳。
29.
なんだ普通に子供じゃん。
How old are you, Marcio?
そこまで幼かったのか。
I mean, elves probably live a long time. Long-lived races.
なんだよ。
How old is Laios?
シルちゃん、
Mr.
Mr.
今日の食料は魔物だが、明日は自分たちが食料になるかもしれない。ダンジョン飯。
Oh no.
ああ、ダンジョン。
Oh no.
It's a mimic! Mr. Chilchuk.
Okay, that was Dungeon Meshi Season 1, Episode 6. The painting storyline was so fascinating to me.
I 100% think that one person had at one point gotten stuck in those paintings and has been in there for so long.
The elf?
Yeah.
No.
I think so. I think just like by the color of importance of their outfit and how like the character design was almost like more calling for attention
Yeah.
than anyone else within the paintings. And the fact that they're the ones that recognize us.
Okay. By the nature of Dungeon Meshi so far, I should not have any expectation of that elf nor that storyline to continue on in other ways.
Correct.
That being said, like, it had so much like energy that a typical show would, that would lead you to believe that you definitely would see those characters or that storyline again. I know that we probably won't, and we definitely won't for the most part, but it's so fascinating to think about. Like, okay, this one elf has proven that there is continuity to me as a viewer through somebody going in one painting and it being connected historically to a different painting, depicting this like a similar story in terms of characters, but a different time period.
Yes.
That like leads its way to so many questions.
So
Has anybody else gone in these paintings before? Because there's no previous memory of like any poisonings from anybody else.
Well, is it possibly by the fact that if I think that this elf was an adventurer that got trapped in there, that's why they realized that there's someone else that has been showing up throughout? Because the people that are within the painting are probably more so of a fragment. They're telling a story. It's like a residual haunting.
Yeah.
You know, they're not like active thinkers necessarily within this painting. They're playing out the event that the painting is telling, which is the birth of a baby or the poisoning of the king.
Yeah.
Coronation day. And that's why I feel like this one character, especially with the fact that they pass us to go to the king in that one painting where the king gets poisoned, I feel like this is a person that genuinely got trapped in here and has now been in here so long that they are like, they care for these characters because they had to. They were trapped here.
Yeah. I think that your idea definitely holds a lot of like weight because of the idea that Laios himself is tied to a rope and has that backing of another party, so that it definitely could be that scenario. I just, man.
And the servant girl is in all 3 of the scenes in the paintings too and does not recognize him.
I'm just like going crazy of like, oh my god, what if this elf somehow turned into like the sorcerer who caused all of this shit? Like, is this historically accurate to the castle that we're currently in?
Why wouldn't it be? You know, I think during the episode you were really right to bring that up. Like, what is being depicted in this banquet hall is very much possibly the history and the story of the family that was in here before this dungeon was created, basically. Could be the last of the residents, could be the most influential of the residents, could be the residents that were directly cursed. I think that is a really... why not make it be tied to the actual creation of this place that we are in?
I mean, you're in a castle and you're seeing like paintings that aren't necessarily leaning on its artistic like prominence. It's depicting an event, right? So therefore your mind would obviously jump to it being historically somewhat accurate or depicting a time that would be captured and paid, like hired a painter to capture a moment of significant importance within the castle. And that's what I believe. But god, this elf's like character design is so cool and like prominent that I want them to be further involved. And how wild would it be that within jumping in paintings it could be a sense of, or a form of time travel? Like, what if somehow Laios was the cause of all of this happening indirectly by raising suspicion of him being the, you know, person poisoning?
So, if he does end up being the one that basically can become king someday, isn't it even funnier if he had slight interactions with the people that were once the royalty?
Yeah.
And or if this elf is the mage that we're talking about, and it's not someone that got stuck in a living painting and they were maybe the mage from history.
Yeah.
The fact that Laios has met them before, even within these living paintings. Where's the crossover?
What
there?
makes a painting living? Like, what, in the same way that we were having discourse about like how a ghost comes to be, right? Like, is it, or a zombie comes to be, like, is it like a ghost inhabiting like a person's body over a long period of time? Like, how does a living painting come to fruition? Is it a painting that is inhabited by like a spirit? Is it made with the intention of it being living and then it turns into some like creature that could have a negative effect on people?
Okay, so if we go into this theory town about this elf maybe being the mage, it seemed like they were incredibly protective over the royal family to the point of like wanting to hurt outsiders or people they thought were a threat. What if you get to the point so much so that you feel like the only way to protect the royal family is to basically sink the castle into the ground and create all these monsters that are going to protect maybe their tombs?
Yeah.
Like maybe they are buried somewhere within this castle. The royal family has like a tomb within here.
Yeah.
And their treasure. And you do this in order to protect them and create these living paintings and these monsters and these mimics in order to keep people from being able to tread on their things and steal from them.
We had an emphasis on age this episode, right? And that tying together with it being like 1,000 years since shit went down, and the idea of a mage and it being an elf, and in other forms of fiction, it is very common for us to hear that elves have very elongated lifespan. And with Marcial's language, it leads us to believe that she as well has it.
And then Chilchuk says, "You long-lived races."
Exactly. Like, it does somewhat have an opportunity to bridge those storylines and beats to this elf still being alive somewhere.
And like, think about how difficult it would be for a long-lived race to get an attachment to a human. Because humans have such a shorter lifespan.
Yeah.
And especially if that human was taken not by natural, like a natural means of death, and by a poisoning, their life was cut way shorter than it even needed to be, how devastating that would be. Like, you already are settled with the fact that this person that you care for and love, that you've seen through all the stages of their lives, is going to die earlier than you are. But then for them to die even sooner than you had even worked yourself up to accepting.
Yeah. There were so many opportunities in this episode that would have, like, motivated me to bring up Frieren. You know?
Mm-hmm.
There was a moment in the episode that we got for, like, Chilchuck's, like, B-plot of his hand touching the wall, and I had to take a second and be like, is he missing a pinky, or has his pinky been cut off? But upon bringing it up again, it just looks like he has a small pinky.
It's probably just the angle too, at which, like, his thumb and pinky are probably more forward, you know,
I
to push
guess, but, like, if we can show
Better
it
use
on
a small
screen,
pinky.
it looks like he just has a small pinky, you know?
It could just be very short.
Yeah. No hate. I love Chilchuck. I'm
No
actually
hate.
really glad that we got more of him this episode. He's one of my favorite characters in the show.
What were you expecting his age to be?
I'd say 29. Give it 5 or 10 years either way, and that's where I would have landed.
I think I was probably expecting something that was older than child, but not too old.
Okay.
Like, so I probably was existing around mid-20s to the 30s, maybe even low 40s.
Do you take Laios saying Mr. Chilchuck as him acknowledging his age, or as Chilchuck being older than Laios?
Older.
Yeah.
I think that Laios is... Honestly, they could
Have we
make
gotten
it
Laios'
funnier,
age?
and he could be 18.
Yeah.
So he could be, like, high teenager, almost 20s.
Mm-hmm.
Or he could be, I would say, at most 26. He's somewhere in there. I think it'd be funny if he's, like, 18, because, like, it would bring up the comedy with the looks matched with age, where Chilchuck looks like as they keep saying, a kid.
Yeah.
And Laios looks like he would be, you know, the 20-something-year-old. But if Chilchuck is 29, that leads me to think that Laios is probably a lot younger than
Yeah.
Chilchuck, just because of the comedy of it.
Man, I have so many, like, lore questions about, like, jumping into a living painting. Like, okay.
That's probably one of my favorite things that has happened.
It's so fascinating. Like, okay, in order to be able to jump into a living painting, number one, does it have to be the original painting, or can it be a replica?
Oh.
Number two, did the painting have to occur during that historically accurate moment? Like, I'm thinking, okay, if you could jump into any painting that we know of, what could it be? My mind immediately jumps to, like, the Last Supper and, like, a depiction of the Last Supper, and I'm like, well, would it need to be historically accurate in the actual painting?
In terms of, like, literally everything in the painting would need to be exactly what it actually probably looked like, and not some
would
sort
the
of...
painter need to be painting the event as it actually
okay.
occurred?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
It's so
who knows if we'll
interesting.
even get... Because there has been things in the show so far where we haven't been given explicit, like, explanation of how these things could come to be.
Yeah.
I mean, I am really happy that this episode continued with learning more about the treasure bugs. The fact that now we know that treasure bugs actually hunt and eat mimics. And so when you find a chest filled with treasure bugs, that was probably once a mimic. So
Yeah.
last episode, when Kaburu's group found that chest that had the treasure bugs in it, that used to be the shell of a hermit crab, basically.
And weren't we given some language about, like, as they age, like, it was implying that the treasure expands within the box that they inhabit?
They nest.
Yeah.
And so then they plant eggs, and then they basically grow their hive.
That's so fascinating. And, like, and that's what I think that's where part of my, like, fascination with, like, the living painting comes from, is the nature of the like, they give us so much information that other shows or stories wouldn't dare touch. Like, they go so far with, for example, treasure bugs and like how to dictate male or female, or like how to go about cooking them safely, or what you'd want to cook versus what you wouldn't, that it like leads its audience into wanting all of those answers for other different types of creatures, or like, you know, antagonists within the dungeon.
This was the first time that we couldn't really actually eat it.
Yeah.
And I think what's really funny is that episodes ago we get living armor, and us as viewers are like, oh, well, yeah, it's metal, you can't eat this living armor. But now we're at a living painting, and obviously we're like, okay, yep, we could probably eat. Like, we're already as viewers on this train of like, we could probably eat something here, you know, and it actually last, you know, and fill our stomachs, because we're now used to Laios's way of thinking that creativity, innovation, something about this is edible.
Yeah.
Even if it is something we didn't know existed, like Kensuke within the sword. We didn't know that the living armor had creatures living within it. So there could be something that turns it on its head, where it's like, at first glance, this thing doesn't look edible, but there might be some animal monster that has a symbiotic relationship with it, or is disguised as it. And I think it was really cool that this was the first time where it, in fact, was not sustainable or something that we could be eating.
Not only that, it was like that continued in the aspect of you could eat while in there, but once you leave,
it's like your stomach was empty.
Yeah, that's so interesting.
Which is also why if you got trapped in there, you could technically live forever within there.
You'd think. Well, I don't think you'd live forever.
Until you're maybe the natural end of your life.
I think that it would be the natural end of your life.
Or just when do you get to what happens when you get to the end of the storyline of the paintings?
I think it keeps going in its internal universe. Like, I think it has internal continuity. Like, that was answered by Laios being remembered for me. That was confirmation.
It's not confirmation for me because of the fact that, like, what if that was the last event that was painted?
Interesting.
And then it's like nothingness that exists after that.
That leads me to thinking of, if this was historically accurate, theoretically, could we see depictions of Laios further on within the dungeon and castle that have been passed down as a potential culprit of killing and poisoning the king?
So if anything bad were to happen upon the coronation, it would 100% be blamed on Laios.
For sure.
Because of the fact that that is when he's confronted.
Yeah.
So if Delgal ends up getting poisoned or something at the coronation, or something soon happens that's bad about him, then we could 100% walk into another room that furthers the history, and there is like a wanted poster for Laios.
Okay. Like, not seriously talking, but the idea that Delgal seemed like the nicest person in the world, right?
Like,
the nicest prince in the world. He was just getting married. He was extremely forgiving to Laios. But at the same time, you could pivot it and say that Delgal poisons his own father and arranges it so that he can be coronated and have the throne. And then this elf assumes that Laios was, you know, the poisoner, until they find out that Delgal was behind it, which then motivates them to, because of their love for the previous king, bury this place 1,000 years ago.
The poison could have also not necessarily been meant for the king. He walks over to the newlyweds table when he drinks. So he could have been drinking from his son's glass, even.
Yeah.
So what if it's someone who wanted to steal the throne?
Interesting.
And so they get rid of the one kind of crown prince that's going to be getting the throne. He could have walked over with his own goblet. He walks over with 2 goblets.
He does.
Which ones are they both poisoned? Was just one of them? That's interesting.
Right? Everything about it is so fascinating.
Honestly, yeah, who was the intended target here? If you send the king with these goblets over, like, can we watch to see how he decides which one to hand to his son? If we even see it?
I don't think we
Because
even
it could have
see
been that whoever poisoned these wanted Delgal to drink it.
Yeah, that's true. He holds both,
And then he
like
does this
waves them
thing.
around, and then it cuts to both of them having won. To the future of the kingdom. How ironic.
Yeah. So either they both were poisoned and just one of them takes a sip first and immediately falls, therefore the other will not drink, or it might have actually been meant for Delgal.
Yeah. Okay. What are the odds that this
That
isn't
this actually
historically
is
accurate?
relevant?
Yeah.
I mean, come on, these paintings are within this castle. They have to be representative.
So cool.
But it's like, how deep does this story go? How much are we actually supposed to focus on the history that is given? But we're given it before the show even opens. In episode 1, we are introduced to the history of why this dungeon exists.
Yeah.
Like, so, of course, we would then speculate that the paintings that are hung within these walls that we go inside of and meet kings and princes would be relevant to the history of this castle.
That being said, surely we don't like go back into another painting. Like we don't come across another living painting, right?
Have we? I don't think we have revisited any of the previous.
Treasure bugs.
Well, yes, treasure bugs have been like the first time that something has been.
But you're right. Like I that's why I brought it up. Like,
but treasure bugs is used as a device in this episode for Chilchuck to confront his hatred with mimics.
Yeah, that's
because
true.
of the fact that he's hungry and he likes treasure bugs.
Dude, Chilchuck is so cool. I knew that like I needed to start like talking when I think of something, because at the moment like the episode began and we get Chilchuck like confronting this door, like you could tell that the animation was going to be so like out of pocket insane this episode. Like it was so fluid, him reaching for his lockpicks, holding it, and then turning around to go to the door. Like it was just amazing. It was beautiful. The animation in this episode is incredible.
Makes me want to go play Baldur's Gate.
Yeah.
And break a bunch of locks. Lockpick a bunch of things.
I feel like you'll never be able to look at your lockpicks the same. They're not just a tool used for opening treasure and doors and opportunities, but food.
He was so upset.
Yeah.
He literally, his tools of the trade that are literally so tied to mimics being, of course, someone in Chilchuck's job. Probably so many of them have died by mimic because it is their job to be the ones getting into a treasure chest for the party or unlocking a door. And the fact that his tools of his trade are, I mean, honestly, he should feel like he's conquered it even more so. Like, I'm eating this with the tools of my trade.
Like you could like take pride in the
Yeah.
Interesting. All right.
Pensky didn't react within the living painting, right?
No, you're right.
I think like Laios went to go grab him just in case the servant girl was gonna like kill him or something.
You're right.
And Pensky didn't do anything.
I wonder why.
No threat. I guess the only threat of a living painting is that you will get trapped, and not the fact that the people depicted are malicious.
Well, maybe it's because it wasn't another monster, right? It was like the idea of it being intimidation last time.
And like
Pensky
living
reacted.
armor wasn't actually living armor.
Yeah.
It was a monster.
I wonder if you took monsters back in the living painting and left them there, how much like absolute anarchy.
Godzilla.
Yeah, right? Huh. Okay, that's all I have you.
Yeah.
Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Please like, comment, and subscribe. We hope to see you next time.